if one movie didn't just disappoint at the box office, but completely shook the future of an entire franchise? Because that's exactly the conversation surrounding DC Studios right now. As Supergirl continues its dramatic collapse, reports of layoffs, internal shakeups, growing backlash, and public responses from James Gunn have only added more fuel to an already raging fire. But here's where things take an unexpected turn. Instead of calming the situation, Gunn's latest comments have sparked an entirely new wave of debate. This time over who DC is really making these movies for, the fans or the filmmakers themselves. And some of the statements being attributed to him are leaving longtime DC fans asking one very serious question. Has DC Studios completely lost touch with its audience? We're breaking down everything that happened, the latest developments surrounding Supergirl, the reported studio fallout, and why this controversy may have long-term consequences for the future of the DC universe. Welcome back, everyone. As of July 21st, 2026, the fallout surrounding Supergirl continues to dominate the conversation across Hollywood, and neither DC Studios nor Warner Bros. Discovery appears to be escaping the growing criticism. Ever since the film's disappointing theatrical run, the studio has faced wave after wave of backlash, not only from audiences, but also from industry observers questioning the direction of the new DC universe. According to the ongoing discussion surrounding the project, Supergirl has become one of the studio's biggest financial setbacks in recent memory, with estimates suggesting losses reaching into the hundreds of millions once production costs, global marketing, merchandise performance, and other expenses are considered. The situation has become serious enough that multiple high-profile figures connected to the film, including James Gunn, Millie Alcock, screenwriter Anna Nogueira, and Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, have all found themselves responding publicly as criticism continues to grow. At the same time, reports of internal restructuring have only intensified the conversation. We've already discussed claims that members of the marketing team, along with employees from several departments connected to the project, were reportedly let go following the film's disappointing performance. Whether those moves were part of a broader restructuring or an effort to demonstrate accountability, they immediately fueled speculation about what's happening behind the scenes at both Warner Bros. And DC Studios. Interestingly, similar conversations have also been taking place elsewhere in Hollywood, with Disney facing its own questions surrounding the performance of recent releases. But today, the focus shifts back to DC, because instead of letting the controversy settle, James Gunn's latest remarks have created an entirely new debate. As criticism surrounding Supergirl continues to grow, Gunn once again addressed the online reaction, and his comments are already dividing fans. One criticism that's frequently been directed at Gunn is his tendency to argue that much of the backlash goes beyond the movie itself. Over the past several months, he's repeatedly suggested that a portion of the criticism has been fueled by sexism, misogyny, or political motivations rather than honest opinions about the film. Now, following Supergirl's disappointing performance and the reported internal shakeups, Gunn has once again returned to that argument. According to his latest comments, much of the online discussion has been driven by people he describes as bad faith critics, individuals who, in his view, celebrate seeing certain movies fail while presenting themselves as experts on Hollywood and the box office. He also questioned whether politics may have influenced some of the reaction surrounding the film, suggesting that social media outrage has become increasingly driven by agendas rather than objective criticism. Gunn argued that superhero movies centered on powerful female characters often face a different kind of scrutiny online, and he believes that played a role in the conversation surrounding Supergirl. But what he said next may have generated the biggest reaction of all. According to Gunn, one of the biggest misconceptions surrounding modern blockbuster filmmaking is the belief that every creative decision should revolve entirely around satisfying the fan base. In his view, that's simply not how great stories are created. He argued that the primary responsibility of a studio is to give writers and directors the freedom to tell the stories they believe in. If audiences connect with those stories, that's an added bonus. But creative decisions, according to Gunn, shouldn't begin and end with fan expectations. That particular point has quickly become one of the most debated aspects of his latest remarks. Many longtime DC fans believe comic book adaptations should first respect the characters and the audience that has supported them for decades. Others argue that filmmakers also need enough creative freedom to offer fresh interpretations. Regardless of where people stand, Gunn's comments have reignited that discussion across the DC community. He also returned to another topic he's addressed multiple times over the past few months: the online treatment of the people involved with Supergirl. Gunn said that while he tries to avoid spending too much time reading social media, curiosity occasionally gets the better of him. And whenever he does look, he says he continues to see personal attacks directed toward Millie Alcock and screenwriter Anna Nogueira. According to Gunn, criticism of the film is one thing, but personal insults aimed at the people behind it are something entirely different. He defended both Alcock and Nogueira, praising their work on the project and expressing complete confidence in Anna Nogueira's future within DC Studios. In fact, Gunn once again publicly reaffirmed his support for Nogueira as the writer attached to the upcoming Wonder Woman project. That statement immediately caught attention, because for weeks now, rumors have continued circulating that not everyone inside Warner Brothers shares Gunn's enthusiasm about keeping Nogueira attached to one of DC's biggest franchises. Previous reports have suggested that while Gunn remains committed to her, some executives and even members of Warner Brothers leadership have reportedly questioned whether Wonder Woman should move forward with a different creative direction following the reception of Supergirl. None of those internal discussions have been officially confirmed. However, the fact that Gunn continues defending Nogueira so publicly has only added more speculation that a real disagreement may exist behind closed doors. If those reports are accurate, it would suggest there's an ongoing tug-of-war between different voices inside Warner Brothers and DC Studios over where the franchise should go next. Gunn didn't stop there. He also explained that both Millie Alcock and Anna Nogueira were prepared well before the movie's release for the kind of criticism they might receive online. According to him, they understood exactly what they were walking into and handled the backlash with professionalism. He praised both women for staying focused despite the negativity, describing them as resilient throughout the entire situation. Gunn then shifted back to discussing the movie itself. He said one of the main goals behind Supergirl was to present Kara Zor-El as an inspiring character for women and girls, a hero capable of representing strength, resilience, and hope on the big screen. But that argument has become another major point of disagreement among critics, because many viewers simply don't believe the version of Kara presented in the film matches that description. Throughout much of the story, Kara is portrayed as emotionally unstable, reckless, and frequently under the influence of alcohol. For many audience members, that characterization made it difficult to view her as the type of role model Gunn continues describing. Critics argue that while flawed heroes can absolutely work, the execution matters. Some parents have openly questioned whether this interpretation of Supergirl is the version they expected younger audiences to look up to, and that's become one of the film's biggest talking points since release. But Gunn had another explanation for Kara's behavior, and that's where the debate became even more intense. According to Gunn, audiences need to look beyond Kara's actions on the surface and understand the emotional trauma driving her behavior throughout the story. He argued that her struggles aren't random character traits. They're a direct result of losing Krypton and living with the psychological scars that followed. In his view, that emotional weight explains why Kara makes certain decisions during the film. Gunn also suggested that this isn't a complicated concept reserved for adult audiences. He believes even younger viewers can understand why the character behaves the way she does if they pay close attention to her journey. However, that's another point where many critics strongly disagree. For a large portion of the audience, the issue wasn't whether Kara had emotional trauma. Most viewers already understand that losing an entire planet would leave anyone deeply affected. The criticism centers on how that trauma was portrayed. Many fans argue that the movie leaned too heavily into presenting Kara as reckless and self-destructive, making it difficult to connect that version of the character with the hopeful symbol Supergirl has traditionally represented in DC Comics. Because of that, many viewers believe the film crossed the line between creating a flawed hero and completely changing the identity of one of DC's most iconic characters. Another major point of debate is the backlash itself. While James Gunn has repeatedly argued that sexism and misogyny fueled much of the criticism, many fans say the real issue was the movie's screenplay, pacing, dialogue, and overall execution, not the fact that Supergirl is a female lead. Sure, every major release attracts a small number of offensive comments online, but many argue those voices represent only a tiny fraction of the audience and shouldn't overshadow the broader criticism coming from longtime DC fans. From their perspective, this wasn't about politics, it was about disappointment. Fans who waited years for Supergirl's return expected a stronger script, a better character arc, and a version of Kara that stayed closer to the character they know from the comics. Some even believed the movie simply needed more time in development. Whether that meant another script rewrite or a different approach to Kara's character, many feel the final product could have been much stronger. Another idea that keeps coming up is the film's place in the DCU timeline. Instead of launching Supergirl with a solo movie, many fans believe she should have first appeared in Man of Tomorrow, allowing audiences to connect with the character before giving her a standalone film. Whether that would have changed the outcome is impossible to know, but it's become one of the biggest what-if discussions surrounding the future of the DCU. Meanwhile, Supergirl's theatrical run is quickly coming to an end. The film has already exited thousands of theaters and is expected to arrive on digital platforms around July 28th, marking a relatively short run compared to most major superhero releases. Now attention shifts to digital sales and streaming, where the movie will have another chance to reach audiences. Whatever happens next, the debate surrounding Supergirl, James Gunn, and the future of the DC Universe is far from over. So now I want to hear from all of you. Do you agree with James Gunn's response, or do you think audiences rejected the movie because of its story and execution? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to The Woke Watch, and turn on notifications for more Hollywood, DC, Marvel, and entertainment news. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.